All right, hi there and welcome to the Jeff Rising Show. So today I'm going to talk about my story entering the real estate business. I think it's a very relevant story for a lot of realtors, a lot of new real estate agents. So I got my license in 2001. I was, don't want to go back too far, so I'll just start with my real estate license. I'm not going to talk about what led up to my real estate license. I can talk about that in another episode. But really, I was 27 years old. So real estate was something I always wanted to do. When I was a teenager, my mom and my stepdad bought a house from an agent named Lynn, who's actually still has a broker's license. And I thought it was really interesting to know that could be someone's job. Like they could, hey, this person helps people buy and helps people find a house, helps people sell houses. That's how they get paid. I remember being 13 years old at the time, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I thought that was really interesting and amazing all at the same time, and it kind of something that was always in the back of my mind. When I, in my 20s, I was at a point in my life where I needed to figure out what I wanted to do. I didn't go to college for various reasons. But really, so I went and took the class, went and took my test, and I got my real estate license. Like, this is awesome. I'm going to make so much money. This is great. Can't wait to go rake in the bucks, in the real estate business. So 2001, just keep in mind, this was pre-Zillow, this was pre-Realtor.com, this was before social media. The marketing plan back then, or the training program back then from a lot of these small independent brokerages was, hey, go work your friends and family, go work your sphere of influence. Good luck. And that didn't work, right? So I was stuck. I went several months without even having a sale. I did floor time. I did let everybody know that I was in the business. I did some mailings to expired listings, things like that. But really, I think I maybe sold one house my first 6 months off of a floor call that happened to come in. So I was still bartending at night. I worked at GNC during the day. And then I did whatever I could in between for my real estate career. So after several months, I went to my broker and I said, hey, you know what? This isn't really obviously working out so well for me. Can I work are there any hourly or salary jobs available here at the brokerage? So he's like, sure, you can be my assistant. So he paid me, I think it was $10 an hour at the time. Maybe $9, just say 10. I think it was about $10 an hour at the time. And he's like, so you'll be in my team, and if I get any buyer leads, I'll give them to you, and you can close them. I'm like, awesome. So he gave me a buyer lead, right? Worked, showed them houses, sold them a house, and I got my commission check, and I'm like, this doesn't seem right, because at the time, being on a 50-50 split with your company was pretty standard, pretty normal for the industry. You just got 50-50. That's just what you got. Nobody else did anything different really at the time. But I got my commission check, and it was about half of what I thought it was supposed to be from the sales. So I went to my broker and said, or broker/team leader said, hey, why is this only approximately 25% of the commission? It's like, oh, well, you're on 50-50 with me as you're on my team, and I'm on 50-50 with the company. So he took his 50-50 from the company kept 50, then he gave me 50% of that. It's like, well, that's clearly not going to work for me, working for 25% really. And yes, it was a team, but he was also the broker owner. So if you don't know a lot about real estate teams, that model he was using just doesn't work, right, for anybody. It worked for him, didn't work for me. So at the time, I was living in an area to where it took me about 20 minutes to drive to Adrian to come to the office to work, but there was also 20 minutes. The other direction was Ann Arbor, Michigan, right? So I was like, well, I could go to Ann Arbor and work same distance, or I can go to Adrian and work. And Ann Arbor has a lot of bigger real estate companies, a lot of bigger real estate teams, higher sales price, obviously, at the time. Still is. So I called up Keller Williams franchise in Ann Arbor, and I said, hey, is anybody there looking for a buyer's agent? I'm looking to get on someone's team. I'll work hard. I having trouble generating my own leads. So he put me in touch with a guy named Brian, who we're still friends today. I still talk to the guy every now and then today. He's still in the business up there in Ann Arbor. So I joined his team. So I did a little bit better my second year. My second year, I was on his team. He was giving me leads. I was getting some more training from the franchise, because it was a franchise. They actually had a training program. beyond, the foot and the butt out the door, go work your friends and family. And maybe sold 4 or 5 houses when I was with him, but I was still struggling. I went from growing up in a small rural town of Sand Creek, Michigan, to now all of a sudden I'm 27 years old showing $500,000 houses to people driving my 2-door piece of crap Chevy Cavalier, right? So I felt out of place. It was probably more inside my own head than it was theirs. I mean, I'm sure people may have been judging me. Maybe they weren't judging me. I'm not really sure. But in my own head, I felt like, okay, I'm out of my league. I don't know what I'm doing up here in this market. So I actually quit the real estate business around 2002, towards the end of 2002, going into 2003. I just quit. I was like, I think it was spring of 2003 is when I quit. And I just said, forget it. I'm going to go back to working in a factory. That's what I know. That's what I know how to do. So I did. I just quit the real estate business, and I went to work in a factory for a couple of months. And after the first couple of weeks, I thought, well, this is now I remember why I quit working in a factory. So I called back the first broker that I worked with and said, hey, you know what? And actually I was moving back to Adrian at the time. So I said, hey, I'm moving back to Adrian, and I let my license go. I wasn't doing really well, but I want to come back. And do you know anybody who's looking for a full-time assistant, or know anybody who's working on a real estate team? He said, yeah, actually, that foreclosure thing we started when you were here last, getting really big. So rewind that to when I was working for him the first time on his team. I started noticing a lot of the foreclosure filings in the Sunday newspaper. A small town, we have the legal notices in the newspaper still. And I noticed a name that I recognized that was a local builder that I knew that he was friends with. And I said, hey, isn't this guy a friend of yours? Looks like he's getting foreclosed on. How does that work? So he explained, hey, there's a 6-month redemption period for foreclosures in Michigan. So I said, well, okay, so when someone is behind on payments, they start the foreclosure process, they still have 6 months to sell the house. He said, yeah. I said, well, how about we start calling all these people? They're sending letters to these people and these legal notices, and start offering to help them sell their house before they get foreclosed on. And his response was, I got a better idea. How about we find someone at Fannie Mae to talk to, and we can get the listings after they get foreclosed on. I said, well, that's one way to do it. I thought we should probably try to help people, and you want to try to get the foreclosure listings. Okay, whatever. I'm working for you, so I'll do that. So I contacted people at Fannie Mae, and I found a contact and said, hey, we're a brokerage in Southeast Michigan. We want to get on your list for preferred brokers, or whatever they called it at the time. And so then skip up another year and a half. When I left him the first time, he only had about 10 listings. When I came back, he had about 25 or 30 foreclosure listings from Fannie Mae. And he said, well, I need someone to do the BPOs, the broker price opinions, on all these foreclosures that we're getting. So he signed up with Fannie Mae to take listings from Detroit all the way over to Kalamazoo, which is pretty much all of Southeast Michigan. And that's what I did for the next several years. I was doing BPOs, broker price opinions, and all those listings. Either he or someone else out in the field was taking the pictures. And this is so long ago, the digital camera that they use actually had a floppy disk drive inserted. So they would go take the pictures. They would mail me the floppy disk of all the pictures so I could do the BPOs. I was doing broker price opinions and houses in downtown Detroit, like a lot, 10 to 15 a week. And then 5 to 10 others around the county, like Hillsdale County, Lenawee County, just all over Southeast Michigan. So I became a pricing expert for pretty much the whole lower half of the state, just by doing the research and comparables in the neighborhoods. So that went from 2003 to 2000 through 2006, almost 3 years. And I said, you know what? I didn't get into real estate to sit in an office all day. I basically traded working in a factory to working inside of a real estate office. And I was like, so I went to my broker and I said, hey, you know what? I really just want to get back into listing and selling. I want to get my license reinstated, because I had let my license lapse at this point, and because I wasn't using it. It's like, why pay for it? Said I want to get my license reinstated, and I want to go back to listing and selling homes. Like, you have all these foreclosure listings. Can I just get the buyer leads from those? And work company said, no. I really like you. I really need you in the office doing the BPOs. That's what's feeding the rest of the business. I said, well, I don't want to do this. And he said, well, too bad, pretty much. So I took all the information that I learned. I knew, and just keep in mind, this is 2004. This is the end of 2006. So this is before the crash. Everyone thinks, oh, the foreclosure crash happened 2007, 2008. Well, it did. The financial crash happened in 2007, 2008, but the foreclosure foreclosures started ramping up long before that. Like we were all in on foreclosures in 2004, 5, and 6. That's all this brokerage did was foreclosures. So I just took all the information I knew from all the business that I had been doing in foreclosures, and I went to a new brokerage and said, hey, I have all this experience in foreclosures. How about I take my experience that I have, I'll bring it to your brokerage, and I'll start building my own foreclosure business. So that broker said, awesome, let's do it. So 2007, I was making contacts at asset management companies, at banks. Said, hey, I have some experience. I know how to do BPOs. I know how to do drive-by inspections. I know how to get trash outs done. I know like all the maintenance companies. I know how to put all the utilities in my name. All that kind of stuff. So I signed up with a lot of different banks, a lot of different asset management companies during that time. So the year of 2007, I sold maybe 4 houses, but then in 2008, all these foreclosure listings came on the market that I had during the year of 2008. So I sold 80 houses in 2008. So from 2001, when I got my license, through 2007, I probably sold a total of about 8 houses during that 6-year period. So that's when I talk about persistence in the things that you do, being persistent. Like I knew that I wanted to sell real estate. I knew that I was going to be good at this. I knew that I wanted to help people buy and sell homes. I knew this. And more, probably one of the most important things was I knew that this was the only way I could make a decent living without having a college degree. And I liked doing it. I mean, I liked, and I also knew the things I didn't like to do. I knew I didn't like working for someone else. I knew I didn't like going inside of a building, whether it be a factory building or an office building. I knew that I was not cut out for punching a time clock for someone else. So my persistence kept me going. And I knew I was going to find a way to make this happen, and I finally did in 2008. When I finally sold 80 houses that one year after selling only 4 the year before. So the next 3 years, 2008, 2009, 2010, that's all I did was foreclosure listings for banks. But then my foreclosure listing inventory started slowly decreasing because, the crash was 2008. Then all the foreclosure inventories just kind of started burning off after a while. Banks started figuring out how to do short sales, which was more beneficial for everybody. And just simply all the people that were getting foreclosed on from losing their jobs, all those houses were selling, or they had been listed and sold, and the economy started to recover around 2011, 2012. So I thought, oh crap, all I've been doing for the last 3 years is foreclosure listings. What do I do now, right? So I kind of had to reinvent my business at that point. So I was selling 60, 70, 80 houses a year during that 3-year period. And honestly, it wasn't a ton of money. That's when you could buy a foreclosure listing for about $20,000 that was almost move-in ready. You didn't really need to do a lot of work to it. So trust me, you have to sell a lot of $2,000 or $20,000 houses to make a living. At a minimum commission of $1,000 each that you have to also split with your brokerage, right? So 2010 is when I started my business Facebook page. I actually left that brokerage to move back to a brokerage closer to my house where I was living at the time, and thought, well, if I'm gonna focus on a certain market area, I need to move back to be in a brokerage in my hometown of Adrian. So I did. And I did radio ads. I started a Facebook page. I kind of started reinventing my business and how am I going to get business now that I don't have foreclosure listings to lean on anymore. And it worked, slowly but surely over the period of 2 or 3 years. It finally started to work. As my foreclosure listing inventory started to go down, my regular real estate inventory started to go up. So I kind of replaced that over the next few years, up to 2011, 2012, 2013. And by 2014, 15, I wasn't doing any foreclosure listings at all, maybe 1 or 2 here or there. But one thing I noticed during that period when I went to my new brokerage is that there's a lot of realtors out there that want to be successful, that want to have a thriving real estate career, but simply weren't getting the direction that they needed from the brokerage that they worked for. So 2014 is when I opened up my own brokerage because I wanted to create a place where people could come and be successful, that got the guidance and mentorship and coaching that they needed from their broker, and just really, one memory sticks out of my head. During the crash at my old brokerage, there was a guy who had been a builder, a pretty successful builder and realtor. And one day he was just sitting in the office waiting for his commission check because he just had a closing because he just needed the money. right? It was only like his second closing that year, and it was like September. So I thought to my head, like, well, why the fuck is this guy who's been in the business for over 20 years not succeeding, right? Not getting the guidance or things from his broker that he needed. And plus, I also saw a turnover rate. Did you know that you can't find any real specific data on this, the turnover rate for realtors, but most of the articles that I searched and Googled, the turnover rate for new realtors, their first year is between 70 and 85%. Between 70 and 85% of new realtors, their first year don't make it. They'll work their 1 year and they give up because it's so hard, right? So why is it so hard? It's so hard because most brokers out there suck and they don't give a shit about their agents. Like, they're collecting agent count, right? They want to brag, oh, I've got 50 agents that work for me. That's awesome. They all sell 5 houses a year and they're fucking broke. Congratulations. You put people in the poorhouse. Yeah, pat yourself on the back. I'm so awesome. I got a lot of agents that are all broke. Nice work. So looking at some statistics from the National Association of Realtors. So I'll show you this real quick. There's a 2021 Realtor National Association of Realtors member profile that if you're a realtor, you can buy from NAR for like $20 or something. 90 pages long. It talks about the average age of a realtor, the demographics, the income. So real quick, let me just go to the income page here real quick. So where's that? So realtors that have 2 years or less experience, 59% of realtors with 2 years or less experience make less than $10,000 a year. Like, you could go get a part-time job at Walmart or McDonald's or anywhere and make more than $10,000 a year, okay? Realtors with 3 to 5 years of experience, 22% make less than $50,000 a year. So still, it's a good majority, not a majority, but a good number of realtors making less than $50,000 a year. So that's if you make it 3 to 5 years, right? So average number of transactions for all realtors with 2 years or less experience is 3. Most realtors, all realtors with less than 2 years of experience sell less than 3 houses a year. This is according to the national. These are their statistics, man. I'm not making this up, right? So median hours worked per week. All realtors work an average of 35 hours a week. And between all realtors, the median number of transactions for all realtors, regardless of years of experience, is 10. So most realtors sell the average median number of transactions a realtor does, whether they've been in the business 1 year or 20 years, is 10 transactions a year. It's less than 1 house a month. You know, when people tell me they do 10 transactions a year, I say, okay, what do you do with the other 8 months of the year? Like, what are you doing all day if you sell 1 house? If you say you're full-time, so I'm not knocking part-time realtors at all. If you're part-time, awesome. Nothing against part-time realtors. There's a place for part-time realtors in the market. That's a thing. I understand that. The rest of us that are selling real estate full-time, that we actually pay our bills with this, we don't have a side job or a spouse that makes it's the breadwinner. This is our full-time career. All of my agents that work here are full-time realtors. So if you're a full-time realtor and you sell less than 1 house a month, I really want to know, like, what are you doing with your time if you say you're working 40 hours a week? What are you doing? It has to be very frustrating for you. And when I talk about, like, what I did, when I sold my first couple of years in the business, I only sold a few houses. My agents that start here, that commit to working full-time, that commit to working 30 to 40 hours a week, sell about 25 to 30 houses their first year in the business, which is how it should be. They're not working crazy hours. They're being very intentional with their time when they start working here. Like, if you're going to work 40 hours a week and take 40 hours a week away from your family, you better be working hard that 40 hours that you're going to commit to your real estate career, because otherwise you're just telling your family they're not important, right? If you're leaving the house for 8 hours a day to go do something and you sell less than 1 house a month, you might as well tell your family they don't matter to you, because you could just be home with them, right? Like, if you're going to sell less than 1 house a month, go be with your family and go be at home and spend some quality family time working on your house or taking your kids to school or doing whatever. So back to my path, my persistent path of being in real estate. It wasn't easy. I mean, 6 years is a long time to fight for something. I fought for my real estate career for the first 6 years because I didn't start making any money until 2007, 2008. Over 6 years since I was licensed. So I left off in 2014 when they opened up my own brokerage. I wanted to have a place where people could come and be successful at whatever level they wanted to be successful at. If you came to me as one of my agents and said, hey, I want to sell 10 houses a year, great, we're going to help you sell 10 houses a year. Don't go work 40 hours a week, because you can sell 10 houses a year working probably 10 or 15 hours a week, if that's what you want to do. If you said, I want to sell 50 houses a year, great, okay, we're going to help you sell 50 houses a year. And we're going to do that in a 40-hour work week. I don't want you killing yourself working 80 or 100 hours a week to sell 50 houses, because you don't have to. If you follow our systems, follow our plan, if you're intentional with the time you spend in your real estate business, you could sell a lot of houses in 40 hours a week. I know it because I've done it. My agents do it. It's possible, right? So then that's pretty much the end of the real estate story. 2014, we opened up a brokerage. Started building my team in 2015 and 16, because while I was still the broker owner trying to build the company, hey, guess what? A bunch of agents just didn't come flooding to me like, oh, Jeff, you're so awesome, we want to work for you. It didn't happen, right? So I was still listing and selling. I still list and sell. I still have my own real estate team. I don't take business away from my agents. If I'm up against one of my agents on a listing, they can have it. I'm not going to compete with my own agents. I'm not a competing broker. I'm a listing and selling broker. There's plenty of business out there for everybody. So I started building my real estate team because I found that I can't run the company, can't grow the company, and I can't list and show property at the same time. Like, working with home buyers takes a lot of time. Between 10 to 15 to maybe 20 hours per buyer that you work with is what it takes to sell them a house. And I can't be out there showing properties on the road all day if my agents have questions for me. So I gave up showing property in 2016. I still show property to my friends and family, people like that want to work with me. But all the buyers that call on my listings, we give those to our buyers agents. So that was just kind of a function of it was kind of a necessity at the time. Like, I can't be on the road all day showing houses and be a broker owner at the same time, right? So that's what a lot of broker owners do. They still run their real estate career. They're out showing properties all day. They're on the road all day. They're not around for their agents. And that goes back to my other story of why 70% of realtors fail their first year, because their broker is simply not around to help them and coach them. It's my opinion that your broker should be your real estate coach, right? Your broker should be there to make sure you're successful your first couple of years in the business until you're up and running. And they should always be a mentor to you, even beyond your first couple of years. So that's why a lot of agents, or a lot of brokers, simply don't commit the time to growing their agents. They'll assign you like a mentor at the office. Great, my mentor is Billy, who just got his license 6 months before I did, and he sold one house. Now he's my mentor. What the fuck's that all about, right? So, in my opinion, and this isn't for me to try to bring agents to my company. That's not what this is about. This is about giving a challenge to broker owners out there to be better. Like, if you're going to open up a company and recruit people to come work for you and tell them they're going to be successful, you better fucking make sure they're successful, right? Like, stop collecting agent count when you have a bunch of broke agents working for you. We can make this industry better if you do a better job at nurturing and coaching and training your agents. The 70% to 85% turnover rate for new realtors is your fault. If you're a broker owner that's not helping your agents succeed, that 70% to 85% turnover rate is your fault. You take ownership of that, and you be better at being a broker and owner. Because it's hard. That's one of the reasons. One of the things I committed doing when they opened up this brokerage and eventually became a real estate coach is like, I do not want people to go through what I had to go through to make it in this business. 6 years is a long freaking time to be broke. I was broke for 6 freaking years in this business, and I don't want anybody to ever have to go through the things that I did. Always worrying about where your next closing is coming from. Not paying your rent, deciding which utility bill you're going to pay because you don't have any fucking money. Just being flat broke for 6 years. I was broke. There's no nice way to say it, man. And I know there's a lot of people that had it harder than me. I'm not complaining. It taught me a lot. It gave me the drive and persistence and determination to open up my own brokerage, because I want to help other people be successful. I want to help other people skip all that 6-year bullshit that I went through and go from license to selling 30 houses their first year, because that's how it should be when you have a broker or an owner that's helping you. And I know a lot of big companies have sales managers, and that's fine. That's what the sales manager's job is, to make sure you're successful. But there's no reason a brand new agent out there shouldn't be selling 15, 20, 25 houses their first year if they have a broker and owner or a sales manager that's going to help them get there. So that is my real estate story, my story of persistence in the real estate industry. Some of you might be thinking, I probably would have gave up after the first couple of years. You're a dumbass. Maybe I was a dumbass, but I'm a stubborn dumbass at that. So, and it's a good thing too that I stuck with it. And I'm glad that I stuck with it, because now I've helped about 1,000 people, 1,000 families buy or sell a home. And I have agents here that are making a lot of money selling 40, 50, or 60 houses a year. And if I didn't own this brokerage, would they still be in real estate? Maybe. Would they be selling 50 houses a year? Maybe. But they have an easier path to that by working here and me teaching them all the things that I did wrong, so they don't repeat the same things that I did wrong, right? So that's my story. Hope that helps. Hope that gives you some inspiration. If you are new to the real estate industry, just know that there's hope for you. If you start out like I did and you're struggling getting your business going, just know that if you stick with it and if you get the right coaching, right mentorship, right broker, then you will be successful if you're putting in the work, right? If you're putting in the work but not having the results you're expecting, then you need to just see if your current environment is what is right for you or not. Because if you have the hustle, you have the hard work, and you have the mental capacity to use the software and talk to people and write contracts and all that kind of stuff, and prospect, make phone calls, then you should be killing it out there. And if you're not, then give me a call, get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to talk to you about that. This isn't a recruiting podcast. This is just me telling people out there that if you're struggling getting your real estate business going, there is hope for you. I can help you with that. Get a hold of me. Would love to chat with you about that anytime. Message me here on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, wherever you're watching this or listening to this. If you're listening to this podcast, just email me, jeff@therisingteam.com. You can email me there. Would be happy to talk to you sometime. But there's hope for you if you are having a hard time getting your real estate business going. I'm here to help. And that is my story of persistence and stubbornness in the real estate business. Hope that was helpful for you, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good one.